wisdom traditions, a conversation circle. And this circle is very broad. That's extending from New York all the way across the US mainland to Hawaii and into Japan. So really nice big circle. And we are just coming out of week actually of the center in the circle, and we're moving into the week of calmness. A quote from Saint Francis of Assisi: where there is patience and humility, there is neither anger nor vexation. Calmness. And we have as our presenter for today, Bruno Ballestrero. Bruno has been one of our martial arts teachers for Still and Moving Center for a number of years now. He was teaching in person while he and his wife lived on island. And they have since moved back to his home country of Argentina, or as he says, Argentina. So that makes our circle even bigger because now we are including South America. He's in Patagonia right now, where he was told that he was going to be able to get a wonderful internet service at the place that his family is vacationing at. And it was actually quite poor. And so he has videoed his presentation for us. And I have that ready to show you. So I'm going to now give you Bruno Ballestrero.
Hello, nice to meet you, everybody. I'm Bruno Ballestrero. I'm sending you this video from Argentina in Patagonia. So meditation, it can be done in different ways. It's not only meditation seated or standing. There are different ways of meditate. You can meditate seated, or maybe you don't like that much, so you can also meditate standing, or you can also meditate in movement. And Tai Chi, in that sense, is very meditative because you are focusing the mind on feeling the movement and concentrating the mind in Tai Chi itself. And that's very enjoyable and very relaxing, and also very meditative in the sense of all the other thoughts, all the other feelings, all the other maybe worries are gone for a moment because we are focusing the mind and focusing also the heart in the movement itself. So it's very enjoyable and very beneficial to practice Tai Chi and also to practice meditation. From the Tai Chi point of view, you can meditate seated, but you can also meditate in standing postures like this, or slightly more physically demanding like this, because obviously you get tired shorter time. Or you can practice Tai Chi itself in a very slow movement, so you feel that everything starts to get more loosened, more relaxed, more gentle. And as I said before, since the mind is focused on the movement itself, it clears all the other stuff, and it's also meditative in that sense. Let's please have in mind or be aware, all of us, that health and well-being is not only something that is related with concrete stuff from the outside. It's also related with us. And in that sense, we can improve our health through having good, positive daily habits. And sometimes that is very concrete, as what is the type of quality of food and diet that we have daily. And also sometimes it's very interesting to think if I'm worried about something or I'm feeling bad about something, maybe my heart, maybe my mind feel stressed or worried or tense up. And sometimes we need to address that through the mind or through the body or through the heart. But also sometimes it's very beneficial to say, okay, that it is what it is. But in the present of today, maybe I can't find the total answer. But what I can do in the present of today is do something that helps from the more concrete, immediate point of view, so physical, try to feel better, and that also will translate to other different layers of your life. So maybe we are very worried because something is very stressing or challenging or difficult, and there is no answer for that today. And if we keep going in that path, we might stress a lot about it because we're human, it's natural, we get worried, and there is no immediate fine answer. But we can accept it and do today something that will keep us feeling in better condition. So sometimes that is concentrate in what is now, and sometimes what we are all discovering, and also from a medical modern point of view are discovering more and more, is that sometimes the answer doesn't come from the same layer that seems to be the problem on. How can I say it in better English? Sorry for my mistakes. Maybe we need to find an answer in terms of my new work that is very stressing. So maybe I start to focus that day on practicing something that I like and starting to make feeling better the body. And the body will also be positive, contagious to a better feeling also for the heart and the mind. Sometimes we need to use the mind to help the mind, but sometimes we cannot. So we use the body to help the mind, or we use the body to help the soul, the well-being. And that is being proved more and more. So I try to say everybody and help to improve the well-being of everybody, repeating one more time the very important idea in my perspective that sometimes we need to focus on our body first, because focusing on the body, it will also transfer well-being beyond the body and beyond ourselves. And that being said, I invite you to do some practice, all of us together. It's very simple. The main thing is try to do it in a relaxed way. So, first one. Ben.
Okay, so everybody, we're actually doing this with Bruno, okay? So go ahead and stand up if you care to. And have a chance to practice with Bruno. It's all very, very, very slow, gentle, and easy.
Slightly, and try to breathe in, hands go up, no shoulders. Breathe out, hands go down and relax. In, out, relax. 1, let go. 2, let go. 3, change. Now we go up and we open the chest and the heart, gently smiling to the future. And then we relax, gently loosening the upper back and totally let go as before. One more time. We go up, open the chest and the heart, then relaxing, loosening the upper back and totally let go. We add the breathing in, out, let go, in, out, let go. 1, 2, 3, 10. Hands come up, no shoulders, no elbows. Then palms facing out, and we open gently the chest and bend knees and relax. One more time. No shoulders, no elbows. Then palms facing out, we open and we totally relax. We add the breathing. Inhale all the way up. Exhale all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 'Change. Gently lift the left heel and relax. Gently lift the right heel and relax. With the breathing in, out, in, out, 2, 3, 'Change. Then the hands come to the main center. We will try to breathe in, the hand go wider. Breathe out, shrinks. The hands come closer. When we inhale, we expand our main center. And when we exhale, we shrink, we condense the energy. In, out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax and close. 3 breaths. In, out. Like if we could help harmony in our more external energy field. Is it totally true? We don't know, but we put the mind intention on it. Three breaths. In, out. In, out. In, out. One breath. Back to the center. Okay. I hope you have enjoyed practice something and you want to join the classes. As I said before, sometimes the answer doesn't come immediately. So we also need to keep building up good habits, good practices, and training, relaxing, conscious breathing, stretching, doing good physical exercise that Stilla Moving offers at different classes, different types, is very, very helpful. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Aloha.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining, Bruno. We did an article on Bruno in the most recent Life at the Center letter that we sent out to you from Stilla Moving Center a couple weeks back. And one of the things that we learned in talking to Bruno is that he had grown up in a household with two parents who were Jungian psychologists, if not psychiatrists. I'm not sure which. And as a child, he just felt as if there was just so much talking, and that it didn't always solve the problems that it was hoping to solve. And so really, as a rather young child, I think he started doing the martial arts when he was 6 years old, and then progressed through a number of different martial arts, and really appreciated the meditative side of it. So learning how to do sitting meditation within the context of his martial arts training. And then, as he mentioned, standing meditation and even moving meditation. I believe that he was moving in part from the Tai Chi tradition, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was using some qigong as well. Qigong is what is usually thought of as the healing side of a number of the different Asian martial arts. And it contributes a lot to vitality and even longevity. I thought, listening to him, that it was really interesting, and I'm curious to hear from you in terms of this idea of gaining calm, that there are these different, I think he called them layers of ourselves, so that we have a physical layer, and we have a heart layer. We have a mental layer. And sometimes he was saying, working at the mental layer to solve the mental layer problems doesn't necessarily always work. And I think that was part of his experience with his psychologist parents. And sometimes we have to work at different levels of ourselves to meet the different problems. And sometimes a different level than the problem is showing up in is where we can start to approach solutions to the problems. So I just thought that was a really unique way of thinking about how to gain some calm. We have a couple people here, Karen and Jeffrey Hackler, who are regularly taking Bruno's classes. And so I know that they might have some things to share. We have a couple other people, Anne and Diana, who are currently taking Tai Chi with Dr. Randy Wong. I've done some martial arts with both Bruno and Dr. Wong, and before them, Jerry Punzal, who will be speaking to us shortly into the new year. So we can collectively, I think, explore that avenue a bit. And then all of us have experience, I know, with lack of calm in our lives, and then how we go about reestablishing that calm. So that's kind of where I'd like to get started, is what works for you? What works for you in terms of finding the calm in the storm, so to speak?
If I might start, I was an Asian studies teacher at Ilani School for 37 years. One of the things that I try to emphasize with my students is that we have either wild monkeys talking in our heads or galloping horses or something, and how do we corral those noises so that we can have a silence in our head. The way that Bruno teaches the course or teaches his class is to think about movement and breath. And I always find by the middle of the class that much of my wild monkeys in my head have stopped chattering. And by the end of the class, I am pretty well relaxed. Not only physically has he moved me, but also allowed my mind to just calm down and just think about the breathing and the movements. And I'm trying to imitate him from a distance. But I find it very rewarding to be in his class twice a week in order to just calm me down. So Renee, thanks for offering the class.
Yeah, I'm so glad we do, and I'm so glad that you're taking it. And what do you think happens? Why do you feel calmer? Where have the wild monkeys gone?
Yeah, I think it's just a question of, if you leave your mind alone, thoughts will come in. Oh, I've got to get a Christmas present. I think I see something on the floor. Did I drop something? Oh, said that paper go in the trash can. You have all these little thoughts that come in. Oh, I got to write a letter to somebody. Now, what was that person's name? Oh, the post office man just came. Maybe, I'm thirsty. And you just have these thoughts. But if you're focused on a movement and if he takes Bruno's classes, he just moves from one exercise to another, change, and then you do something else, change. And that just keeps me focused on him and his guidance, rather than listening to all those other little crazy monkeys in my head.
I've tried studying with other qigong or Tai Chi teachers, and I was so grateful when Still and Moving started offering Bruno's classes all the way from Argentina, because I'd been studying with him when he lived here. And then to find out that Renee had made contact with Bruno in Argentina and he was going to offer classes. And you know, working with Bruno, doing qigong or tai chi, his positiveness oozes through the class. And you heard a little bit of it in that little sample he gave us. He has this wonderful phrase as we're moving, you know, I think we were going like this in the exercise, and he says, you know, smiling into the future. I love that phrase. Just hearing that phrase, you know, lifts my spirit, makes me embrace the breath and life. And so, you know, he has these ways of sharing these skills in such a positive way that, you know, you end the class and you spend the rest of the day into the week, you know, with this sort of positive spirit that goes beyond the technique, goes beyond, you know, the exercises he's sharing, but it's how do you touch a life, and words along with the movements make a big deal of difference. Over a decade ago, I was on a cancer journey. I had endometrial cancer, and I was going through surgery and then some radiation. And actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. I did surgery and I refused the radiation. But I discovered Master Hong Liu, who was teaching qigong in the islands. And, you know, it made such a world of difference. And that's what taught me that qigong is something very positive in my life. You know, the white half circles on the bottoms of your fingernails, mine had turned black through the chemotherapy. And I started doing Master Hong's workshop. And my friend noticed, she says, your hands are so goth with all those black half circles. I hadn't realized that, yes, that was the effect of the chemotherapy. But as I studied with Master Hong, those turned white again. And one day my hand graced my other friend's hand, and he sort of left me. He said, you've got so much energy coming out of your hand. And I realized I had just come from a full day workshop with Master Hong Liu. So I know that there's so much energy flow that's released when you do Tai Chi or Qigong. It basically opens up these channels of energy that are sometimes blocked when we're ill. So I knew I had to keep studying, and Master Hong Liu was gone. So into my life stepped Bruno, and I have re-stepped into his life all the way in Argentina. So thanks to Renee and Still and Moving Center, we have this chance to have this healer in our lives. And, you know, and all the way in Japan, sometimes, you know, comes into our class. So we have this international class. So it's wonderful to see Anne, and Sheila, another one of our hula sisters, attends. And it's a small class, so we welcome more of you to join us. But truly, Bruno never calls himself a healer, but he is. And his way of being and his way of teaching, you know, just is so positive and does a lot of good inside our bodies, in our minds, and in our physicality.
Adele, how do you find calm?
Well, me, I don't. I'm never calm. I try, yeah. I take Tai Chi and all of that. I meditate a little, but I just hate to think if I didn't do all these things, I'd be crazier.
When do you feel the most calm?
Right after I get up from a nap.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I get a lot out of power naps myself. Somehow just checking out for like 12 minutes or something, and then reinserting into the day can be very calming for me.
Diane, do you have a thought?
Well, mostly I do seated meditation, and I have started Tai Chi. I used to take it years ago, and I've done yoga. And I think for myself, I think about those times that we do Tai Chi or Qigong or seated meditation, that it's the question is, how do we make meditation our way of life? And that is through movement, or is through is through living our life. And for me, that means being present in the moment. And for me personally, that means surrendering and having faith and trust that divine wisdom is in charge. And that helps me let go and trust divine wisdom and divine timing in my life and brings more calmness. I'm really enjoying Tai Chi a lot. And what's so interesting is after the hour, I'm all wet. There's a lot of energy that gets put into it, and it's just wonderful. So I try to practice being present and aware in everything in my life. And I have a lot of different rituals I use as a way of doing that. And I think it's really important to have a practice, whether it be Tai Chi, qigong, walking meditation, seated meditation, yoga, ways that we can center ourselves and remind ourselves to come back to that still center underneath our monkey mind. And my Adela, what I find is that when my mind is in monkey mind, if my desk is a mess, my mind is going a lot. If my mind is clearer and calmer, now that doesn't mean I don't have thoughts. What Suzuki Roshi would say was, let the thoughts come in but don't invite them for tea. You just let them go through. It's like, we're going to have thoughts. We think we're not, but our mind secretes thoughts. So if we can just acknowledge them. The other analogy he used, which I really like, is Mount Fuji. It's like clouds going past Mount Fuji. And whether it be prayer and whatever we use, it's ways to get ourselves into our body, into the core in this only moment, and not think about the future or the past, neither of which we can do anything about anyway. But it is easier sometimes with our monkey mind to move into those two places. And it's bringing ourselves back and saying that my feelings are all okay. If I'm not calm, I'm not calm. But then it's like loving that part of myself that doesn't feel understood or is scared or whatever, instead of trying to push it away. So I think that sometimes I love Tai Chi, and I think that I'm really enjoying that practice right now. And but I think we all need something as a daily practice to help remind us and to remind our ego to surrender and to let go. So that's kind of how I do it, Jeffrey. Thanks for asking.
Anne, are you willing to share your calm story?
I'm not a calm person to begin with. I'm a worrier. I'm scatterbrained, and I think about a lot of things at one time. And I try to cook, and then the doorbell rings, or I say, "Oh, I forgot to do to hang up my laundry," so I have to run off and hang laundry, and always spinning, like going back and forth, back and forth. But thanks to Still and Moving Center, I've learned to. What I've learned to experience what we talk about all the time about being in the moment, which never meant anything to me before. I had never thought of it or heard of it, or it kind of sounds so abstract. But now that I can experience this with everyone, I really feel like I can, when something does happen through Tai Chi and hula, I'm able to wait and let it go and just do it when I can. So in that sense, I think I'm growing more thanks to my classes. But I still don't feel power in my hand when we do this. I don't feel. I'm like, when am I ever going to feel this power? Sometimes in classes, after class, one of the students will say, "Wow, I feel so much energy from my fingers," and I'm going, "I don't feel anything." So I'm just waiting for that day. Thank you, Jeffrey, everyone.
All I can hope for, Anne, is in your busy life, you don't put your dishes in your washing machine and your clothes in your dishwasher. That's when you got a problem. Until then, I think you're doing great. Well, Carolyn, can I ask you about your feelings about being calm?
Yes, this might sound the opposite of what many of you are doing. When we move about, and particularly where we take in energy, and partly because we want to make sure that we get downtown in time, or whether we do, whether we get the laundry in so we go do something else, and we take in what's sometimes referred to as prana or life energy. And at a certain point, you're on the verge of just kind of becoming kind of a maniac. I go in and I have a lovely recliner chair and put up my legs and feet partially, and then just say, no books, no paper, newspaper, whatever. Sit calmly, and the body gets the message that, hey, we can let go of a lot of this energy, and you can feel it moving from your chest, your arms, down your legs, and out through your feet. I learned that actually from a teacher. And so that's, you get rid of, you let the excess energy exit and just say, no, I don't need you.
You listen to music, or are you looking at something, or you just have your eyes
sometimes-
closed?
A lot of times, I'm sometimes looking at the redwood trees that out in back of my porch.
Is that what we're looking at behind you?
No, that's artificial.
Oh,
They're symbolic. Sometimes in the evening, I put on, we have a lovely classical music station because, you've got so much energy, you need some help. But during the day, no, just quiet. And then your thoughts will come up and insights will come up, maybe on something you're trying to figure out how to do. So you're not without thought, but you start with do nothing but sit quietly and maybe look out the window. So the body gets the message, hey, we don't need to kind of rush around, or we don't have to look at the clock. And it's really the equivalent of a good nap that Renee mentioned. So anyway, it's very simple, but it works. And if you have lately, because I've had this virus, this RSV, where you get inflammation, I'm a devotee of very cold ice water. And that works within half an hour. You don't need a pill. It's just very cold ice water. It cools the body all down.
I was thinking of that image of the a Japanese monk standing under a waterfall during the winter. That's not your cold water theory, is it?
Yeah, no, I didn't get it from him, but that's probably very effective. But you have to, just work with things naturally, and it's free. It's
Cold water.
it just works, and usually takes about half an hour. But and you can feel the energy going out through your feet.
So for me, I'm kind of the same as Carolyn, except for the bed, I'm probably one of the few people in my age category that I don't have a television going. I don't have any music. It has to be completely black and completely quiet for me to sleep. And I think that just goes back to, I think many of you know that I was working with Cirque du Soleil, and we had a lot of evening shows that might start at 8. And then if somebody was injured, it would be going to the hospital with them. So my emotions and my energy level were always heightened right before you're supposed to wind down for the day. So I just feel, I've suffered with insomnia and other things in the past. And I think one of the best ways that I can calm myself is doing exactly what Carolyn said. If I'm in bed, restless, it's not going to do me any good looking at the clock and seeing, oh God, there's one less hour of sleep, or, getting all emotional about that. I have a rule where if I lay there for 30 minutes and still feel restless, I change position, because I feel like bed is only for sleep, and anywhere else you can do anything else. So I'll either do a crossword puzzle or read something, and then try to reset the time in the bed for sleep again. And I might do that 3 or 4 times before I finally fall asleep. I don't know if it's actually working or I just tire myself out staying up so late, but those are some of the things that I do. And I do feel the movement practices as well are very beneficial. Not only it's still moving, but if you have another extracurricular And I find very meditating the way that Bruno counts. In dance, we do things in 8. In many of the movement forms, we do things in 8. And I think subconsciously that goes almost to like square breathing, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. I think that really has a calming effect as well. I know at least in dance, it's very chaotic if you can't find which time signature you're in, or if it changes from waltz tempo to 3 or 4/4 time. So I think that focusing on those counts really is something of benefit as well.
Couple of things that came to mind. I'm having some movement issues, and just by sitting and following, even just watching, if I'm not going to be able to actually do the motions, just by watching, I could feel calming. And I was thinking that I know that they do this kind of thing in senior citizen homes, care homes and things. And it really, even if you think the person is not getting anything from it, they really are. And the most important way that I find calmness is to pray. And like Kevin said, if I'm in bed and I am just tossing and turning, there are very short prayers that I'll say. And then before I know it, okay, I've fallen asleep and now the alarm is going off and I did sleep. And also I have to try to get to church earlier, because just sitting in the pew and looking at the cross just makes me feel so calm, and it's just wonderful. And it's beautiful to see all of you. I love you guys. You're my calmness. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you all. Good question. How do we find calm? I like to be witnessing my own thoughts when they get crazy. So just watching them and almost like separating the thoughts from me. And then like you watch your child being naughty, you can watch your mind. And so it's almost like the dissociation. It brings to a removal from the identity with the mind. And of course, I have my own meditation practice, and almost all the time detaching myself from whatever is going on in the mind. So which is not easy sometimes, but that helps me to be calm. And I like the physical. I did the Tai Chi. I don't have too much time, or I don't do too much except walking. Walking, I really enjoy. But I like the idea of when I do breathing exercises also, just even sitting and taking deep breaths and going in the heart center. And that brings feelings of calm. So thank you, everyone.
Hi, David.
Hey, actually, that little bit of Tai Chi just kind of knocked me out. I had to just lay down for a little bit. I've been training. I've one last final, but I'm doing the marathon tomorrow. So today is deep rest day. So I took the opportunity for the last 20 minutes just to lay down, which I find very calming. Well, and to reiterate Vina's, I have the same approach. It's either simply watching my mind or watching my breath are two very effective ways. And I first learned to meditate at a mind games practice back in the 70s. And we always did our induction lying flat on our back. So I'm not a good seated meditator, but when I land my back, it just centers me and I get very, very calm. But Vina mentioned something that just sparked for me was when she mentioned the word dissociative. And so I've been, I'm also studying psychology and looking into the newer method of using ketamine for anxiety and depression. And I realized when she said that, it sort of sparked for me. It is the dissociative quality of ketamine that does that. It separates us from whatever thoughts are producing the anxiety or the depression. So thank you, Vina, for sparking. I just sort of put it all together for me. So I appreciate that.
I think for me, talking about these different layers of myself in regard to this idea of calm, I am somebody who has a fairly high energy level. And when I have busy brain or any kind of anxiety going on, that really kind of clutters up my whole energy system. Maybe like a car whose, the electrical system is off. And so if I can do a movement practice that allows me to really get my heart rate up, as long as I also feel as if it is at the same time a moving meditation, it breaks through so much of the junk. I think there's something like cleaning out the carburetor. It might be a phrase from auto mechanics. I think it cleans out my carburetor. Yeah. And also it gives me this huge influx of joy. And so I come out of, especially dancing does this for me, just like David mentioned dancing. And I feel like, well, there's a phrase, empty radiance. I feel a calm, empty radiance. There's a joy. I want to hug everybody around me. I love everyone. And I just don't even know what it was I was possibly worried about because everything's really fine. And when I'm in this moving meditation, nothing else exists. I am fully, completely there. And having cleaned out the carburetor, so to speak, then it feels as if it's cleared out my mind. And my mind is then much more open to spiritual thoughts, creativity. I just feel as if I've become unblocked, and now I can receive really valuable input from the universe and from other people. So for me, that's potentially the very best way for me to get calm, is to get moving. I really, though, I have to say that Diana mentioned having certain rituals and practices. So I also have still practices that my moving meditation is within. So having my, morning practices to start my day with something uplifting thoughts and, giving a mantra on behalf of the whole universe, and then closing my day and seeing whether I can pull that same, gratitude for all the bounty, and then hoping that through my sleep cycle, I will be able to emerge and have that same wish for all as I come out of my sleep cycle. I think those kind of practices support my moving meditation. I don't think it would be enough to just do the moving meditation without these other still meditations or rituals that and the uplifting reading that I do. That really helps me too.
this was a wealth of just glorious information. And I think certainly everything that's been mentioned are things that I've thought about or use, and certainly movement and classes and kind of resetting your mind with meditation or reading or inspirational music. What I found in the last few years with my work in clinical psychology, working with holistic doctors, is that the physiology of stress, upset, racing mind, anxiety, overload, all of that really goes back to the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is what catapults us into sympathetic on, which is the part of the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, that's fight or flight. And we have so much stimulation in our lives, I certainly do, that it's really easy to cross over to that place of overwhelm or too much or racing mind. And the vagus nerve is really the indicator barometer of that. And all of these yogic practices of breath, or somebody mentioned square breathing, those are used in so many situations to calm the mind. And what's so cool about the breath is that you have it with you always, moment to moment. And my new practice in these days, I've had a lot of mega changes in my life, and the story is not important, but the feeling of great tragic changes can really keep the mind racing, where things seem so out of control. And I'm utilizing actually square breathing, or the breathing of 5 to 6 seconds in, pause, 5 to 6 seconds out. And again, the physiology is amazing. And the peer-reviewed journals that talk about the calming of the mind with the breath, there's just so much data now, so many statistics, that the fight or flight can be brought down to calm, peace, and a sense of centeredness, all with the breath. Also, someone had mentioned cold showers, and you might have heard of this wild and crazy guy. I forgot his first name, but the Wim Hof method. Maybe some of you have heard about that or no. But it's a European gentleman, and his yogic exercises are on YouTube and have gone around the world and has a huge following. And basically, it's dealing with two things: breath holds, which you might want to look into. It's all online. And ice cold showers, icy cold, basically showers. And that's part of yogic practices from the times that I did a lot of ashraming. We'd get up at 3 a.m, and the first thing we did before sadhana and meditation and devotional singing and so forth was an ice cold shower, as long as we could stand it. And the physiology of that is that you build up the strength of your nervous system. And when the nervous system is strong and fortified, we can handle more stress in an elegant way. We can handle living in the fast lane and still being in the center of the cyclone. So what's so beautiful about Still and Moving, Renee, that you've given birth to and continue to foster to help so many of us, is that these are all practices for just that. In the midst of intense living, intense contributing, intense living in the 21st century and hanging in there with all of the changes and the bad news and the challenges is that we can be in the center of the cyclone, which is what your magnificent, still and moving dance center, Renee, give us so many recipes for. So do remember everything we've talked to today is physiologically based, which impinges on the nervous system in a positive way, and which actually changes brain structure. And again, that square breath or any of the long, slow, deep breathing exercises have the ability to really change our physiology and give us so much more capacity. And in 2 minutes of breathing, the cortisol level is dropped by 70%. The stress hormone level of cortisol drops 70%. So thank you for this forum.
But the book I've recently read is called Why We Swim by Bonnie Tsui, Tsui. And it explains a lot more about the concept of jumping in the San Francisco Bay and swimming every morning in that cold water. There's a whole group of people do it. And she talks about this swimming in cold water and what it does to the whole system. And it even temporarily excited me to jump in a cold shower. I mean, cold by Hawaii standards. But it didn't last. Maybe I should read it again. But Robin, thank you for stimulating that idea again. I know Karen takes a cold shower before I do. So, but anyway.
Okay. Thank you all so much. Wonderful, wonderful to have each of you here. And thank you, Jeffrey and Karen, if you could pass on our deep gratitude for him and taking the lead in Bruno's absence.
Thank you, Renee.